Welcome to another episode of She Unleashed. She Unleashed is, of course, brought to you by Pumza Gyani. We are here for the corporate woman who is really looking at finding her purpose. She's looking at either growing within the corporate environment or she's looking to find herself elsewhere and she's still needing to make those decisions. We're also talking to the entrepreneur. You have been out there, you have been doing things on your own. We're here as the sisterhood to help you develop the skills, to help you access networks, to help you find toolkits for taking you through to another level. Today is one of those special days because I have one of the most generous women I've ever met. She is, of course, a founder of a network of women. She's a multi-award winning founder of an all-women's network. She is a podcast host for a show called Birth Your Vision. She also is a founder of a podcast creators network where she helps women to birth their visions through a podcast and helps them to know the steps of how to start a podcast. Anna, it is such an honor and a pleasure to have you on board. Thanks for taking the invite and for showing up today.
Oh, thank you so much. Such an honor to be on your show. I'm so excited. And thank you for the amazing work that you do to help women around the world. Thanks for creating this wonderful platform. Good to see you.
Hannah, thank you so much for that. Tell us about Hannah. Who is Hannah and what is this Birth Your Vision podcast about?
Oh, thank you so much. So, I'm Hannah Kupoluyi and I'm a mother of three, a married woman. And, I am a podcast host and a show producer. I help entrepreneurs and coaches to launch their podcast show and to also create authority and impact to be able to attract clients and more leads. I am the founder of All Women's Network, a fantastic organization that is actually created for women in business. And the idea is to actually help as many businesses as possible to help them to be able to collaborate and also build great, wonderful network as well. Birth Your Vision podcast started in 2020, where I was able to give as many women as possible the opportunity for them to share their stories and to actually really get to know how they're coping during the COVID season. There's been a huge pandemic in 2020 and it has affected so many women, so many businesses across the world. And so people are having to pivot, to change, to even start again from the beginning and look for strategies to be able to actually continue with their business. So Birth Your Vision came at the right time and I was able to really connect with local women in business. And then it just blew up to global leading women across the world. Women from America, women from South Africa, women from all over the continent, Germany, France. I've been able to interview them and they've been able to share their stories on our platform because women have a very powerful message to share. And so that's how I was able to birth Your Vision podcast.
Now tell me, what is this inspiration in you to help women? Where does it come from? Has it always been there with Hannah?
Absolutely. Helping women has always been my passion. I've always had the strength and the courage, and the joy in my life, in myself, to be able to make an impact, to make a difference in the lives of women around me. Everything started with a vision for me. It was about writing it down. It was about making sure that I was taking the right action. It was about setting the right goals to be able to achieve it. It all started for me when I started to host small events to bring women together. And we basically started with confidence building because I realized that many women, they actually lack confidence. They have the power to do so many things, but confidence actually affects them. And so I decided to host confidence sessions, workshops, and bring women together. I was sharing so many information and details with many of the women in my network as well as some of the school moms, the schools that my children go to. I was interacting with many of the women there, and also women from churches and the local community. And I would do confidence building workshops to help them to be more confident, to show up powerfully, and to really share their message and their voice. And so this is where the journey really started from. And so helping women has always been part of my dream. It has been part of my vision, because it's all about empowering a woman, giving a woman the opportunity to be able to share her story, to be able to share her experience, and really unleash the greatness in her. Because I believe that every woman has a message. Every woman has a powerful greatness living within them. And sometimes they're not able to see it. And I'm able to spot those differences. I'm able to look behind those blind spots. You know, I've been called the blind spot queen. I'm able to see what you can't see, you know. And so this has really been part of my desire. It's about really supporting as many women as possible. My mission is to support my fellow purpose-driven women in entrepreneurs, to give them the platform to be more confident, to be able to be more visible, and really, really share their story with the world.
So birthing your vision is such a powerful concept, and it is not about it being beautiful. It's not a sexy kind of concept. So tell us about the process that you take with the women, because it almost feels like a full cycle where you go through the ugly, the dirty, and you get to the point of actually something beautiful. What have your experiences been with the women that you've been taking through the process of birthing the visions?
Thank you so much for that. What I really find is that there are so many things that's actually preventing many women from birthing their dreams and their visions. And we had to get to the bottom of that for us to be able to bring together a coaching program that really meets the needs of every single woman that comes to our network. So number one, many women compare themselves to others, right? And this is the comparison game. And so this already, it's a barrier. It prevents you from moving forward. And, it's so easy for us to fall into the trap of comparison. Oh, I don't speak like her. Oh, I don't have the same degree as her. Oh, I am not enough. So these are the kind of challenges that some of the women were facing. And also perfectionism. I want to be perfect. I've got to be perfect before I show up. Everything has got to be in place. I do not want to look as if I don't know what I'm doing, and it's not really about you being perfect. It's just about you making sure that you know who you are and you believe in yourself and you show up when you need to show up. And it doesn't matter whether you have everything together, but show up authentically and be unapologetic, be intentional and be yourself. Being perfect is not the first thing. Those things will come later, but show up and be present. And also it's about many women in our network. Fear of failure is something that is a barrier as well. They fear, oh gosh, I'm going to fail. They haven't even started yet, right? I'm going to fail. How do you know you're going to fail if you haven't even started? You haven't taken the first steps. You haven't seek advice, right? You haven't given it a go. You haven't sought resources, support from other people who have walked the journey, but you have already, you understand, affirmed to yourself that you're going to fail. No, it doesn't work that way. So we try to let them really, change their mindset, their thinking, how they think. It really, really matters. So we go through the mindsets, we go through confidence building, we go through eliminating, any form of imposter syndrome that actually makes them feel like they are not enough. So these are the kind of stages we take them through. So it's usually like a really great coaching program that we put together, working on their mindsets, working on what they are interested in doing, helping them to birth those visions. Many of our women have actually been able to birth their dream businesses. Some of them have been able to create an opportunity, in terms of helping young children, in terms of childcare. Some of them have actually gone into properties. Some of them have actually gone into wellness and fitness. So we have a variety of women in our network network that we've been able to support and help and really equip them with the skills, the tools, and the resources that they actually need.
I think one of the important questions we raised, and I love that. Thank you for that answer. That was quite a concise answer. One of the things we spoke about before coming on live was the fact that there are also corporate women who, by the way, have a bigger purpose, but
Mm.
sometimes restrain themselves to the corporate role instead of using the platforms like the podcast for amplifying their voices. What
Mm.
has your experience been like with them and encouraging them to really go out there and make their message known?
For me personally, starting Birth Your Vision podcast has given me the confidence to be able to use my skills,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to shine the light, the spotlight on other women across the world. And it's so important that we're able to use different marketing tools as business women. And
Mm-hmm.
podcasting is actually one of the greatest way to be able to, get your message across, get your tools and your services and your product across so that people can actually see it. It's an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity for you to connect with global leaders across the world as well. So for me, I've been able to help as many women as possible to share their stories,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody has an experience, everybody has a story to tell. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been able to help corporate women and women in business to be able to do that. I always say that it's about building a house. For you
Mm-hmm.
to build a house, you need to have a foundation,
Mm-hmm.
and the foundation must be solid in order for the house to be able to stand. And so there are so many different things that you can do as a woman in business to be able to raise up your energy. And so that is all around taking control and acting and also building and also reflecting as well. So when it comes to supporting women, to be able to use their voice powerfully, number one is really about acting. There is a time for us to act and there is a time for us to actually write. So we
Mm-hmm.
need to write down those visions. And once we've written them down, it's time for us to take actions on them,
Mm-hmm.
because writing your goals down, it's about visualizing it and
Mm-hmm.
being able to actually take the right action. And also building, you've got to be able to build. Once you start taking the right action, you'll be able to build fantastic momentum around the world. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how we've been able to meet together, because we were able to have an encounter with me online, and
Mm-hmm.
we were able to actually support each other with our podcasting,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been able to invite me to this platform. So it's about building the momentum. Having
Mm-hmm.
the momentum behind you will help you to actually progress through and help you to actually accomplish your achievements and celebrate your success even more. And also, it's about reflecting. We've got to be able to reflect, taking actions as well, and being able to reflect on what we've done and how we can actually do it better. So these are the ways that I've been able to encourage as many women as possible when it comes to, entrepreneurs and corporate women who are thinking of using podcasting as a way to leverage, to reach the masses. So it's about taking actions, writing the vision down, and showing up, and also, building the momentum and also reflecting as well.
Mm-hmm. How
Yeah.
important is the coaching aspect, Hannah? Because I think part of the fears of building is that at certain times it feels like you are building nothing, or whatever you're building is stagnant, and it takes really a very wise coach to help you maneuver those things and explain that it actually is part of a process. How important is the coach now in hindsight? After
Mm.
you've built independently and just seeing what you can achieve with helping people, and taking them through the process.
Thank you so much for that. When I first started, I wasn't really hoping to actually teach people,
Mm.
but teaching people now has become a demand. So sometimes you've got to show your expertise and your skills, and then you will attract the right people. So I've been able to attract the right people who are interested in what I'm doing, because if you serve everybody, you serve no one.
Mhm,
And so
mhm,
it's important for you to be able to deliver, on demand. And so when I started my podcasting, most of my guests will say to me that they absolutely love and admire what I'm doing. And
mhm,
so they are also interested as well in also starting their own podcast. And so that gave me an idea to actually turn my skills, my expertise, and my experience
Mm-hmm.
into a 6 weeks podcast coaching program to be
Mm-hmm.
able to help businesses and coaches for them to actually start and launch their own podcast. Because hosting their own podcast is the best way possible for them
Mm-hmm.
to be able to stand out as leaders, in their niche, and to be able to gain instant credibility and become the go-to expert. And that's what is actually happened to me. I
Mm-hmm.
am now the go-to expert when it comes to podcasting, using video podcasts, because my podcast is audio and video. So you're
Mm-hmm.
able to see my guest. The way I put it together is very authentic, very unique, very different. It's me. I am myself. And
Mm-hmm.
so these are the things that actually attract them. And I've been able to put this coaching program together based on the demands, because it's important for you to understand that without the demands, then it's going to be hard for you to put something together to attract as many people as possible. So I've created it in a way that it covers 6 to 7 steps on how you're able to start your planning, turn your niche into a profitable niche, identify your niche, identify the format that you want to create your show around, and also the sort of equipment that you need, and also showing up, being confident and being yourself. So I've
Mm-hmm.
just been able to put that together in a 6 weeks program, and it's going really well. And it's just an amazing opportunity that you can easily turn your skills and your expertise into a profitable business.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, Hannah, there are people who come and say, you know what, I want to do it, but I don't know what my voice is yet. How do you encourage them to actually start already? Because sometimes it's really about starting and your voice, it becomes stronger and you become so much concise with
Mm,
time.
absolutely. The power of starting begins with you. Everything you need is within you, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing that you need is within you. And so you have to be ready
Mm-hmm.
and be committed to your dreams. Because once you have an awareness of what your dreams are, then it's time for you to be committed to it. And you really have to make up your mind whether or not you want to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Because many people have dreams, they have visions, and most of those dreams or visions, they've not been birthed. Many people have gone to the grave taking those powerful visions with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so many people that we can actually reach locally and globally. And so
Mm-hmm.
my advice would be for them to actually write the vision down. Once you've written it down, then the next step is for you to now put actions in place to start
Mm-hmm.
achieving them. And
Mm-hmm.
also, if you know someone who has actually done the same thing that you're doing, then you can actually speak to them and
Mm-hmm.
get support, because it's about building a network as well, consulting other people who are more professional, who have done it, who have had challenges, who have overcome those challenges, who can actually guide you, whether it's a coach, whether it's a mentor. It's about really knowing what your vision is and going for that vision and starting it now. Wait
Mm-hmm.
for nobody. Do it now. Do it today.
Mm-hmm. How can you encourage them about the refinement? Because there's an assumption that you will get into the podcast and all of a sudden you are a pro, and there's the lack of realization that the craft gets perfected over time. It's when you see your video and you realize, oh, I didn't make an opening line. I didn't do this. You refine with time. I'm trying to make it easy for everyone because there's an assumption that you will get everything in the first recording, and that does not happen like that.
Absolutely. It really doesn't. To be quite honest with you, I spoke about perfectionism. Sometimes we feel like we have to have everything together, but to be quite honest, you don't. When I started in a little room
Mm-hmm.
and a little space. I
Mm-hmm.
had a very old computer. I had my ring lights. I didn't have a mic. But what I did was I used what I had within my reach. And
Mm-hmm.
remember, when I started, it was actually during the lockdown, and so
Mm-hmm.
some of the equipment shops were actually closed, and so I couldn't go out there to get myself a new mic or to get
Uh-huh.
myself a new adapter. But I use what I have, and that's the message I'm passing on to women today. Use what you have. Use what you have within you. Whether it's your voice, use your voice. You know, and start from there. So I decided, without making any excuses, because sometimes we can make so much excuses, sometimes we actually procrastinate. And I decided I'm going to use what I have and I'm just going to start it. And if
Mm-hmm.
you go back to my first podcast, it was actually fine because I didn't have a mic. My laptop had a mic already, an inbuilt mic already. So I was using the laptop mic, and that
Mm-hmm.
was absolutely fine. But I believed in my message and I believed in what I was actually bringing to the world. I
Mm-hmm.
was bringing powerful women to come and share a powerful message about how they've been able to cope during lockdown. You know, what business strategies do they have? What support is out there for people? What sort of resource can people use to be able to help them to pivot their business? And so for me, my message was more important than any of the other equipment that I had. And yes, sometimes you listen to your voice and you think, oh my gosh, I sound like that. I don't like the way I sound. But we
Mm-hmm.
have to get comfortable with being, we've been uncomfortable. We have to be comfortable with ourselves. We, you know, so many of us, we may not like our voice. Sometimes we may not like even the way we look. Okay, that's fine. Change it. Change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can't change your voice, but maybe change some of the ways in which you express yourself. So, for example, if you do a lot of ums and ahs, so maybe you may want to watch yourself, what you're going to fill in, maybe put some openers in those spaces, you know, use some wow words to be able to fit in those spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you don't like the way you look, perhaps you may want to try on a little bit of more color to make you look more confident, more vibrant. You may want to change your background a little bit. You know, those little things can actually be fixed,
Mm-hmm.
because the thing is that the more issues you have around yourself or around some of the things that you don't have, the more you will never really start, the more you will always complain, and your podcast will never be birthed. And the
Mm-hmm.
idea is that you're using what you have and you're making a move and you're starting anyway.
Mm-hmm. And I think what remains the same is the fact that there'll always be people who are talking. There'll be positive ones as well as the negative ones. You just
Yeah,
also have to have, the strong kind of character that takes it all in, because that's the vulnerability of putting yourself out there, and it happens to everyone. It's not.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Absolutely.
It's been an amazing session, Hannah, and I think you've touched on all aspects of really birthing a vision. So, what do you do to ground yourself? Because birthing a vision requires a bit of character, a bit of strength, a lot of positivity, even when things are going, not too well for people. You have to be that kind of an anchor and a midwife that is staying and say, you will give birth to this child. What does it
Yeah.
take for you then to be grounded?
Well, for me, it's about being positive. I'm a very positive person anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm happy to share what I do in terms of how I'm able to actually channel my positive energy.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's about starting my day off with prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer is actually key for me, and it's a way for me to uplift myself. It gives me confident boost. I'm
Mm-hmm.
able to um, just get excited about the day. So for me, prayer is key. It has helped me on my journey, and
Mm-hmm.
it has helped me in so many decisions that I have had to make for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are the things that I actually do. So prayer is key, and also making myself a priority, because I matter,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some of us, we neglect ourselves. I
Mm-hmm.
matter and I have to be the priority. And
Mm-hmm.
also being kind to myself, using positive affirmations to boost my confidence daily, you know,
Mm-hmm.
positive words to be able to start my day. I am confident, I am powerful, I attract the right people. So
Mm-hmm.
those simple affirmations help me to start my day. Also, smiling a lot, being around positive people like yourself. You know, it's so important. You have to be able to surround yourself with great people who will actually inspire you,
Mm-hmm.
challenge you, cheer you on, and really support you to get to the next level. And another one, it's about gratitude. I practice gratitude daily. I am
Mm-hmm.
a thankful person. I am a
Wow.
grateful, you know, I keep my gratitude jar, and I also keep my achievements and my award, so that I can actually reflect back on it. It's important for us to celebrate ourselves, because we have to be our biggest cheerleaders. We shouldn't wait for anybody else. We should be the one cheering ourselves on. So gratitude It's so important to me. We must learn to practice gratitude daily. And another one is self-care, creating time for yourself, pampering yourself,
Mm-hmm.
going out to a restaurant, inviting other people to come and join you if you wish to. Those things are so important because often enough you find that women in business, they get burnout and they are so much overwhelmed. And that's because they've not actually created the time and the space to be able to have enough time for themselves and
Mm-hmm.
also love yourself, love who you are.
Mm-hmm.
There
Mm-hmm.
is only one of you, and that one of you deserves love. Sometimes you need to listen to how some women chastise themselves. And sometimes when I hear it, I'm like, really? What has yourself done to you, for you to be able to say such negative things to yourself? I plead with you to change that, to start speaking positive affirmations and start speaking power full words into your life, and then you start to see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
also the last one is to also obviously surround yourself with great family support network. And I'm so humbled to be able to have that. Having a great family support network really does allow me to be able to have that positive energy, and working towards a great goal and achieving it as well. So those are the things that I use on my day-to-day basis, to help me to be more focused and more positive.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you've just mentioned, Hannah, because
Mm,
the period of birthing as well, birthing a vision,
yeah.
also has an aspect of separation. There's times where you need to separate from what you know, you need to separate
Yes.
from your usual environment and surroundings, and you need exactly what you say. People who
Yeah.
will nurture the dream and the vision. In the olden ages, there was wisdom in what women did because
Yes.
in the olden days, you had a woman who was about to give birth, surrounded by the older, wiser women, because they carried the rhythm. They knew the time and what transition is important for the time, as well as the messaging they need to give to the woman. How important is it to really separate yourself as you're birthing your revision? Because you need people who will speak into that vision positively, exactly what you have just said, that you need people who will be positive, who will be supporting you.
Absolutely. Our visions are so powerful, and we mustn't take our vision very lightly. We have to be able to understand that it's a journey that begins with you writing it down, with you praying over that vision, with you nurturing that vision, and also understanding that in the beginning of the starting of that vision, you do not necessarily need a lot of people around, because that's the time that you are actually creating a foundation. You are building a foundation. It's like building a house, right? And the house needs to be solid. And so when you have this amazing vision that you are about to birth, you need to guard it very carefully, because not everybody will be pleased or happy with your vision. And so, you have to understand that you can't even share it with everybody in the beginning stages, because it's still in the birthing stages. Birthing your vision goes through different stages. Number one, it's about having the idea. Number two, it's about believing and being committed to this idea, writing it down, making it plain and simple, and then putting actions in place to be able to bring it to life. And so also, if you are somebody who is very spiritual like myself, you have to pray about it, because prayer is key, because you really want to manifest the abundance of this great vision. And so it's important for you to guard it very carefully, and to surround yourself with maybe one or two people who understands the vision, because not everybody understands the vision, and that's okay. Some people get annoyed because some people are not really passionate about their vision. That's fine. Not everybody's meant to come along with you anyway in the birthing process. They may come with you in the end to help you launch it, to celebrate with you. But in the beginning stages, you have to guard it really, really carefully, right? And so as that vision is developing, then you're able to now have the confidence to see who can you bring along to help you, who can you partner with to help you. You understand? Who knows more about this than you do, that can actually support you to really now, birth this vision. So
Mhm.
these are the things that I look at when it comes to birthing your vision. You've got to guard it very carefully. You don't need to share this vision with everybody. You've got to make sure that you understand exactly where you're going. You have to be committed to it. You have to be ready. You have to be aware of your vision. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to be very passionate about this vision. Remember that you are on a mission, you are on a call, and it's important that you do not owe the world a debt. You do not take that vision to the grave, because there is somebody out there who is waiting for you to birth that vision. Because when you birth your vision, the person that is waiting for you can actually have a transformational life experience, because they have been touched by your vision. Because many people are waiting for you to be able to share your amazing vision with the world. And because they're still waiting for you, it's important that you make sure that you manifest it and you bring that vision to life.
Absolutely. Hannah, you've given us more than we actually were expecting. And thank you so much for the words of wisdom. You really have given us an all rounded view to a vision from just, the initial cramps of a mother, as she's about to be you. And right through the process, who needs to be around in that vision? Who needs to water, that process? Who needs to be part of the journey with you? As well as then the post launch, what needs to happen, because that vision is for all the other people to benefit from what you are birthing. Thank you so much for the words of wisdom. And it's really been an honor. Where do we find you when we look for you with all these amazing podcasts?
Fantastic. So I'm going to just share my links with
Mm-hmm.
you. And also, you can find me on LinkedIn, Hannah
Mm-hmm.
Kupoluyi. You can also find me on Instagram, as well as listen to my wonderful podcast on Apple Podcast, as well as Spotify and Google as well. And you can also find me on Facebook, as well as on Twitter as well. So All Women's Network and Birth Your Vision podcast. You can find me on all those wonderful platforms as well.
Hannah, it's been an honor, and thank you so much for your message and how you are courageously amplifying your message through other women, because there's a multiplier effect in women. It's amazing how we just multiply, we just birth. So thank you very much for the courage of sharing the message, and to all the women that you are going to transform, whose lives you will touch, whose lives will be waiting for your message. We wish them all the best. To all our listeners, there you have it. You have all the things that you need in you. That's what the message was, to birth your vision. So you don't need to go outside. Whatever you need is in you already. Start already. That's what Hannah said. Well, all the best, and I hope you will take something out of today and use it going forward. All the best.